Welcome everybody to our evening eAcademy today. It's our third eAcademy session today. I'm Mark Allison and I'm introducing Jordan Stevens, who's going to be presenting this seminar this evening. Jordan is a good friend, co-worker. He's been with Accordance for about 7 years, working as a content developer. Right now, he's working on writing a dissertation on syntax and semantics in the book of Amos. And we look forward to him showing us the cool Amplify feature in Accordance. It's a really powerful feature that I think doesn't get used by a lot of people as much as it could. And hopefully you'll all be power users by the time Jordan is done. So let me just a couple housekeeping points. We have a question box in the GoToWebinar control panel. Feel free to type in your questions. I'm here with Rick Mansfield too, and along with Richard and Linda Perry, and we'll be answering any of those questions that maybe that are easily answered. The ones that Jordan will want to answer, we'll ask those too. We'll either save them till the end, but Jordan has requested if there's a question that applies to what he's doing right at the moment, we'll make this a little bit more interactive and maybe ask away. The other couple things, there's a handout in the handout section of the GoToWebinar control panel, so make sure you download that. And there will be a discount code too that Linda will type in there to the chat box sooner or later. Also, it'll be in the email that will be sent to you when this seminar is over, and you'll also get a link to a recording of this with that as well. So yeah, with all that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Jordan.
All right, thank you, Mark. Can you see me okay? You can hear me okay? Can see my screen?
You look good, sound good. Yep.
Okay. Is your mic going to be on, Mark?
It will be occasionally. I might mute it every once in a while because we have 3 big dogs, and if they see a bird or a leaf falling off a tree or someone walking down the road, it's a little disruptive. But I'll be listening in the whole time. So
okay, you'll be nearby.
Absolutely.
All right. Sounds good. Hey everyone, welcome to our November eAcademy session on the art of amplifying. I'm excited to be hosting this session of the November eAcademy. Richard Perry, who organizes these eAcademies, asked me if I would be interested in leading a session, and I was like, absolutely. Then he asked me which topic I would like to teach, and so obviously I said textual history of the Hebrew Bible. And then he told me that Emmanuel Tove was really wanting to teach that session. So then I remembered actually that one of our users requested a webinar on amplifying, and Heidi, I believe was her name. And so I suggested that Dr. Tove lead a session on amplifying in Accordance. And so, well, here we are. Welcome to Amplifying, harnessing the power of Accordance. Okay. Hopefully by the end of this session, you will have improved your ability to leverage various resources in Accordance for research or study. Today we're going to learn to amplify to and from a variety of texts and tools that will be generally applicable for any Accordance user, regardless of your field of study. So by learning various amplifying techniques, you'll be able to locate exactly what you need in Accordance in as little time as possible. So we're focused on efficient study, efficient research. And as I said in the course description, amplifying is your path to more efficient research, Bible study, and sermon preparation. So amplifying. What is amplifying? In your handout, I'm going to follow along there, that basic format. So the definition of amplifying, I have it there on your handout. The concept of amplifying in Accordance is very simple. Amplifying means to select words or a reference and search for the selection in a text or tool of your choice. So in every case, we'll be working with a selection of text, a piece of text, okay? Then we'll use accordance to locate more information related to that selection of text, all right? So what I'd like to do today is to expose you to a variety of paths for gathering more information, okay? So in general, amplifying is a feature used to explore and analyze search results or to follow a train of thought, to chase rabbits or string together pearls or whatever you want to call it throughout your accordance modules. So simply put, amplifying is like saying, give me more information about my selection. Amplifying gives you immediate access to any Bible text, any lexicon, a Bible dictionary, a commentary, a topical Bible, cross-references, parallel passages, any user content, user notes, user tools. Amplifying allows you to see verses in context, to locate places on a map or a timeline, to see original language words behind the English text, including key numbers, to parse Greek and Hebrew words, to diagram sentences, to have the Greek or Hebrew read aloud to you, to annotate a text in a word chart, to search a current text for selected words, or to search all or part of your library for any words or verses. So amplifying is at the core of accordance. It's the core of using accordance. You've probably heard it said before that everything in accordance is a search. Well, the same is, it's similar for amplifying. Anytime that you're trying to gather information in accordance, you are amplifying. So to start off with, I'm going to turn off my camera for a minute and so you can see accordance here. And I'm going to start off with the accordance workspace. First, let me, let's see, oops. I have a little, there we go. All right. So I'm going to start out with the spending a few minutes just on the accordance workspace and show you how you can amplify using various aspects of the accordance workspace. So I'm going to start over here on the left. And on the left side of your screen, we have my library, okay? So the library, as you know, you can open and close from the library button up here at the top. And then in your library, you have a few major divisions. You have your texts, you have databases, you have tools, various types of tools. You have your background information like Atlas and Timeline, and then you have your user content, my stuff, my tools, my notes, my papers, workspaces, etc. And notice as I move up and down all of these, you see this little icon here. This is the Amplify icon. And wherever I am in the library, you will notice there that Amplify icon exists, okay? And whenever you see that Amplify icon, that means that you can amplify to that resource. So using the library is one way to amplify. A second way to amplify is by using the toolbar up here at the top of the screen. So if we have modules at the top or even other features, buttons at the top like the Atlas and Timeline, the web browser, we can use all of these for amplifying. And here is the Amplify button in particular, which we'll use later. And all across here, we'll talk about different buttons that can be used for amplifying. So in addition to the toolbar and the Amplify button, we also have the menu bar at the very top. You see your menu bar, and here is the Amplify menu. This is essentially identical to what you get when you click on the Amplify button in the toolbar, okay? In addition to the toolbar and the menu bar, we also have in accordance Amplify settings. All right, these are in your user preferences. So let's see here. In accordance at the top of your screen, you'll have your preferences option, and the shortcut for that is Command comma. But if we click on preferences and we get our preferences box here, there, and the second one from the top, there's going to be Amplify Preferences. All right, and we'll talk about these as we work through some different examples. But we have our triple click defaults, and you can choose what you want your preferred resource to be, your preferred module to be when you triple click an English word. For example, I have it set to Mounce's expository dictionary. When you triple click a Greek word, Accordance will open up BDAG. This is what I have it set to. And you can choose from this list your preferred Greek lexicon. For Hebrew, I have Halot set as my preferred Hebrew lexicon. And then we'll come back to what this means here, the override key numbers. But okay, so this is where our Amplify settings are located. So you'll want to play around with that at some point. Okay. All right. And by the way, I would prefer this to be somewhat interactive. If you have a question, please send Mark a question. I know there's a lot of us in here, but if there's one that's immediately relevant, Mark will chime in and we can discuss it and talk about it. And I'll try to go slow enough that you can use Accordance while you're listening and follow along, rather than just listen to me talk for an hour. That would be probably pretty boring. So,
oh, and sorry, excuse me, Jordan. One point of clarification. Some people using Windows are asking where the preferences are located, and you had mentioned, on a Mac you go up to Accordance on the menu bar. In Windows, you go to the edit up on the menu bar, and the preferences will be located under that. Just a little difference in how Mac and Windows handle things like that. But yeah, it'll be under the edit menu there on a Windows computer.
Yes, good. Thank you, Mark. And please chime in for the with comments on those Windows, the Windows setup, because I'm obviously working straight from a Mac here.
Yeah,
and I actually don't have a Windows computer, and so I'm not as familiar with where some of those things are located. So please help me out with that. All right, cool. Okay, so we are moving right along here. Let's get into actually doing some amplifying, some amplification. Okay. All right. I'm going to start just with, I'm in Amos here, if you want to turn your Accordance to Amos. And we'll just kind of work through some Amos, we'll work through some Ephesians and some secondary resources, some tools to practice some of these tasks. So the core of amplifying, the one thing that you're probably already doing, or the one thing that's central to amplifying, is the triple click. In Accordance, the triple click is really kind of key. So, for example, if I triple click the word in English here, earthquake, what that's going to do is that it's going to open up my preferred lexicon, okay? And it's going to, even though I clicked on the English word earthquake, it looks up the Hebrew word behind that English word and in Halot, okay? Additionally, Accordance located the scripture reference from which I triple clicked the word earthquake. So I triple clicked earthquake from Amos 1:1, and Accordance opened up my favorite lexicon and also highlighted not only the lexeme, but over here you can also see it highlighted the verse reference. Okay, so how did that happen? Well, it goes back to our preferences. What I have checked in order to make that happen is that I have checked here override key number dictionaries, and then I have my Hebrew lexicon set to halot. So if let me turn that off and I'll show you the difference. If I turn off that box, you can see that Accordance is searching for the key number in a key number dictionary, so Kullenberger Mounts, all right? And it found the key number here, okay, Ra'ash. All right, so when I searched earthquake, it did a key number search to Kullenberger Mounts, okay? Now, if you don't have something like halot, then there's nothing, or if you want a concise English gloss for that word, for the Hebrew word behind earthquake, then this is a good way to go. Otherwise, if you're wanting something more technical or involved, then you can override the key number dictionary and set your favorite lexicon there in the Amplify settings. Okay, so again, a triple click on earthquake takes me to halot with the correct Hebrew entry that you can see over here on the right, and then also the verse reference Amos 1:1. Okay. Now, let's suppose that I do that from the Hebrew text. So here's Ra'ash, triple click, and I get the same results. Okay. All right. So that is the triple click from Hebrew. Now, let's suppose that I hold down the shift key as I triple click. What's going to happen here is that Accordance reverses the include reference option. So if you remember in my preferences, I have it set to, actually I didn't talk about this yet. This first box here, I have include reference when amplifying from text to tool, okay? What that does, this first box, this gives me the option to include Amos 1:1 when I was triple clicking the word. If I turn this off, then it will not include the verse reference. Okay, I prefer that it be included, especially in a long lexicon where there's several paragraphs. I want to be able to locate that that verse reference pretty quickly. Okay, so if you want to override that, you can hold down the shift key when you triple click, and it will only search for the lexeme instead of searching for the verse reference. Here again, I click without holding the shift key, I get the lexeme and also the verse reference.
And Jordan, let me just add, since you want this to be interactive, that if it doesn't find the verse reference, it'll just ignore it. So that's something to consider too. I usually keep it always with the verse reference included too.
Yeah, that's good. So in fact, when you click on, if you triple click and you've included the verse reference, you may, and this depends on how you have your settings for toggling the lexica, but using my right arrow key, I can switch to DCH. If I click in the text in the body of the paragraph here, I can use an arrow key to go left and right. The left and right arrows allow me to switch lexica. Now, there may be a case where I get to a lexicon that doesn't include Amos 1.1. And looks like, okay, so here's one. So Kohlenberger Mounts does not include Amos 1.1. You'll get a dialog box here that says that verse reference is not found in this lexicon. So you can close it out and then just rerun the search. So that might occur frequently. That's the downside of having that checkbox turned on, is that sometimes the lexicon will not include the verse reference. Okay. All right. Let's see. Another kind of hidden feature here is that if let's suppose you're working on multiple monitors and you want to have multiple workspaces, you can hold down the command key when you triple click and it will open up the lexicon in an entirely different workspace. Okay. I'll put them side by side. So you can see that the triple click opened up, it performed the same search, but it opened it up in an entirely different workspace. So if you have two monitors, you can slide this workspace over to the workspace 2, you can slide it over to a different monitor and kind of keep it there. And this recycle button over here on the far right, I have it turned on. And so whenever I triple click again, actually, let's see, should be turned on there. Well, it's supposed to recycle that and send it back over there. All right, we'll figure that out later. Okay.
Jordan, several people are asking, they're all excited about using the arrow keys on your keyboard to cycle between lexicons, but they'd like to know how you got that activated.
Okay, yes, so in your preferences, and that's a good question.
That's it right there. It's it's at the very bottom. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, I couldn't spot it. Yeah. So right here, your arrow keys, you can use them to either move the insertion point, move the cursor throughout the text. You know, like you feel like you're in a Word document or something, or you can switch this to change resources and navigate. And so that's what I have that set to. So using the left and right arrow will allow me to change resources and navigate. So you have to click in the body of the paragraph here and then use your arrow key, and that toggles through your lexicon. So it's the same as, you know, here's your drop down menu, so you can switch lexicons this way or by using the arrow keys. So I've just kind of grown accustomed to using the arrow keys. All right. In accordance, there's a million different ways to do things. I'm just kind of showing you today a little bit of how I do things, and maybe I've actually figured out some new things that I'm going to try and incorporate. But so anyway, I'm just giving you ideas and options. That's all we're doing. Okay. All right. So remember I told you earlier there's different areas of the workspace to which you can amplify. The first one we talked about was the library. So I'm going to spend a few minutes here talking about how you can amplify to the library. For example, let's look at Amos 1. Actually, before I do that, a triple click, you can triple click a word or you can triple click a verse. And if I triple click Amos 1.3, what that is going to do, now I've been having some problems with this this little cursor. It's been causing some fits when I turn it on and off. Let me try this. Let me try this again. All right. Something's going kind of buggy here, but a triple click to your on a verse reference should open up your favorite. Oh, because I had this turned on. I was playing with the Apostolic Fathers earlier. That's probably why. So let's see. What would be something good? Let's got too much stuff here. Let's do BHQ 12. That's a good idea. All right, let's try this again. Okay. All right. Okay. Panic over. So here I have Amos 1:3. I can triple click and it will open up my preferred resource according to verse reference. Okay, so in your Amplify settings, you have verse reference. You can set that to whatever your favorite commentary is. If you're working with like the Hebrew text, like I am here, then I may want to know more about sort of the textual stuff that's happening with the Hebrew. So, all right, so you can triple click words, you can triple click verses, okay? All right, back to my schedule. Amplifying to the library. All right, so we can, let's suppose that we're in ESV with Strong's and we want to know a little bit more about what a different Bible, a different English Bible says regarding Amos 1:3. Well, I can highlight this verse reference and notice that if the verse reference is not highlighted, the Amplify button is turned off. It's grayed out. But when I highlight the verse reference or highlight a word, now that Amplify button is black, it's turned on. And so I can amplify to any one of these English Bibles and it will search that verse reference that I have highlighted. Okay, so it searched the NET for Amos 1:3. All right, I can do the same thing for a word. So I can search the NET for the word transgressions. I can highlight the word transgressions. Remember, amplifying is doing something with a piece of selected text. So I double click transgressions to highlight. I think I can go back and turn this back on. All right. I highlight the word transgressions with a double click, and then I go to the Amplify button, and I can choose a Bible to search that word transgressions in that Bible. Okay. Now, if I want to use a key number search, then I need to hold down the Option key. It's the same process, but hold down the Option key. And now, look what happened here. I have a key number search instead of the word transgression. Okay, so we get other things like crime or wrongdoing. Here's rebellious acts. Okay, we got a host of different English glosses for this key number. Okay. Excuse me. Now, we can amplify to Bibles to the library, or we can scroll down and find maybe a particular set of commentaries. Now, notice I have a lot of folders in my library here. You can create these yourself. This is a side lesson by just doing a contextual click, and you can create a folder if you want to organize your library a little bit more. So here I have technical Old Testament commentaries. So I might want to highlight a verse reference and then search Anchor Bible for that verse reference. So what Accordance does when you amplify is it searches the top search field for Amos 1:3, and if it doesn't occur in the top field, then it will go down and search the scripture field. So in this case, Amos 1:3 happens to be in the reference field, and so that's the hit that we get. Okay.
Jordan, let me interrupt just for a second, if you don't mind. A couple of Windows users, you had mentioned holding down the Option key earlier to get the key number instead of the English word, and that would be the Alt key if you're on a Windows computer. So Option on a Mac, Alt on Windows. Technical questions about that?
That's a good question. Thank you. Thanks, Mark. Okay, so what we did there was we amplified a verse reference to a commentary. So you may want to have a list of commentaries here, or even down in the bottom of your library in My Stuff. You might even have some groups, some custom groups that you've made. For example, here I have one called Old Testament Commentaries, and what I can do is highlight the verse reference, and here I have my group, and Accordance does a research amplify, so it's a little bit different, on my custom group of commentaries. So everything that's in this folder here called Old Testament Commentaries, maybe some of my favorites, Accordance will amplify that verse reference to this entire list of commentaries. Okay. Try to make this a little bit, well, let me just maximize it and show you. So in some cases, it might pull up the reference field. If that verse is mentioned in the reference field, you can notice as we go down here, now it's looking at the scripture field. And so these different search fields, Accordance is kind of cycling through and looking for Amos 1:3. Okay. If you see something you like, you can just open it and then read. Okay. So also in the library, we have, let's go back to our Bible. Sorry, you're getting a lot of Amos today. All right, so for example, in our background information over here, our Atlas and Timeline, we could double click Carmel and go to our Atlas and try light brown, and Accordance will find, we actually got 2 hits here on our Atlas. Okay, so you can amplify to your Atlas from the text. You can amplify to the timeline. So let's try Ben-Hadad. We can search, we'll highlight Ben-Hadad, then we'll go to our timeline, and we get Ben-Hadad the first and Ben-Hadad the second. Since I have the timeline open, you can actually do a little amplifying from the timeline, and that's as simple as clicking on Ben-Hadad the second. I did just a double click, and then Accordance will amplify to my favorite dictionary that I have set up for the timeline. So you're probably asking, how do I get that set up? Well, in your preferences, you have timeline display, and then hypertext. I have mine set to, my default tool is Anchor Yale Bible Dictionary, and my default text is ESV, because over here on the timeline, you see there's a verse reference. Wherever Ben-Hadad the second is located in Scripture, we'll have it listed for you on the timeline. And so I can click on this verse reference and read about Ben-Hadad. And the same is true for the atlas, let's see, here's Damascus. If I go to, if I amplify to the atlas, Damascus, here's Damascus on my atlas, and then a double click will open up my favorite resource for the atlas, which is the Photo Guide Israel. And so I only got, do I not have any pictures of Damascus? Well, let's try something different. Let's do Megiddo. All right, so here's Megiddo. And so you can amplify from the timeline, you can amplify from the atlas in order to gather more information about a particular topic. So we're just chasing rabbits. That's what we're doing.
Couple things, Jordan.
Yep.
You were clicking on Damascus and you had Photo Guide Israel instead of the Photo Guide Overview. So it wasn't actually going to the Damascus entry because the Israel one didn't have Damascus. But so I'm just saying that to let everybody know that the Photo Guide Overview gives a really good, as the name implies, overview of all the different locations around the the Mediterranean world. But then the individual photo guides really go in depth for each one of the regions. And then there's, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
And then someone had let's see, Richard had a question regarding, and you may want to just get back to this, but there's some questions regarding the difference between amplifying to a resource and using the research tool to search for multiple items. Like, what's the difference between amplifying and research?
Yeah, so if I'm doing, notice that when I searched my groups earlier, it performed a research search. So my toolbar is pretty big here. Let me just do icon only for a second. So here's research, and you can perform research just by typing in Damascus. And we'll set that to graphics tools. All right, and I got some pictures of Damascus. So research looks through your whole library or a part of your library for a particular item, whatever you type in the search bar. So we sort of bypassed that process by amplifying to a particular group that we already have set up. Okay, so in some ways they're the same, and in some ways they're different. I mean, amplifying just sort of gave me a shortcut to do some research. Does that make sense? I hope so.
Yes, that's good. Makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Yeah. It's a lot different teaching without any audience feedback. All right, let's see how we doing on time. All right. A couple more things I'll just mention briefly just to kind of keep us going, but there's other stuff in my library that I can amplify to, like my tools. If you've created some user tools, like here's some lessons I've taught on Exodus. So let's just say, I have a Moses, and I want to see if I ever talked about Moses in one of my lessons. So I can amplify to some of my own user content. All right, I can search through my user content the same way I can search through any other resource in accordance, with the exception of papers and stack. You cannot amplify to papers and stacks. All right, but you can amplify to a workspace. Now this is pretty cool. Watch this. So here I'm in Amos. I've got Amos. Actually, I'll go to the book Amos. Here I'm in Amos 1:1. I can highlight this verse reference, and I can search a workspace called Amos Commentaries. All right. And Accordance is going to open up that workspace, and here I have, I don't know, a dozen or so commentaries, and Accordance searched the reference field in every one of those commentaries for Amos 1:1. All right. So if you have a custom workspace set up, then you can amplify to that workspace. All right. So there are some advantages of using the library for amplifying. All right. A second locate, I'm going to close the library, and we're going to turn our attention to the toolbar at the top here. Actually, I'm going to show you one thing real quick. Notice that I've got a few individual modules like the ESV, the BHS, the NA28, and a folder of commentaries. If there's something I want to add to my toolbar from my library, like here's the ESV Study Bible, you can just drag and drop it onto the toolbar, and it'll show up here on the right side. All right. And then if you hold down the command key, you can drag that we'll put it here by the ESV. So now I've got my ESV Study Bible and the ESV right next to each other. Okay. So I can use the toolbar to amplify just like I used the library to amplify. So we had Damascus. Let's search for Gilead. I'll just kind of work my way across the toolbar here. So here's my maps, my atlas. So I can amplify Gilead using the toolbar. I can amplify Hazael to the timeline. I can search for, let's use a Hebrew word, sheloshah. I can search a Hebrew text for a particular word, shalosh, which means 3. All right, just by highlighting the word and then clicking on that tool in the toolbar, the module in the toolbar. Okay. If I have, let's say, Amos 1:3, a verse reference, I can pick a particular commentary and amplify to that commentary real quickly by using the toolbar. All right. We can even open up a website. I'm going to save websites for later. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on websites a little bit later on. Central to the toolbar here is my Amplify button, and your toolbar may look different than mine. I've kind of customized mine. If you want to customize your toolbar, just a contextual click on the toolbar here, and it's maybe a little bit different for Windows, but you can customize the toolbar by dragging and dropping items onto the toolbar. Now in Windows, I think you have to move them left and right across a little divider to get them up there, but other than that, it's simple just to customize your toolbar and put some buttons up there that you would find useful for amplifying. All right, now back to the Amplify button. So this is the Amplify button, and everything that we've done over here in the library, we can pretty much do using the Amplify button. So if you just want to find one place to go to amplify, then this might be it. So I can highlight Zion. I can go to my Amplify button, and I can search the ESVS. So whatever my current resource is for that word. So if I'm in the NET Bible and I go to the Amplify button, I have the option to search the NET. Now, if you get anything from this webinar, it would be this. This is probably my absolute favorite shortcut, Command 4. Okay, this is how to quickly amplify, which means to search whatever text you're in for whatever is selected. So, for example, utters his voice. If I hit Command 4, and on Windows, you said it would be Alt, I think that's right. Accordance will search for that word or phrase. All right. The Lord roars. Command 4. Here I have, now this is pretty interesting because in Joel 3:16, we get almost the exact same wording that we do in Amos 1:2. Why is that? I don't know. You can write a dissertation on it. All right, but Joel 3:16 and Amos 1:2 have basically the same wording there. Is that a popular saying? I don't know. Do some reading, do some amplifying, find out.
And actually, Jordan, let me just give a plug for our Infer Search, which lets you explore intertextuality like that. You could actually perform an Infer Search between Joel and Amos and find any kind of language that they had in common. You don't have to specify the language itself. It'll just look for anything. And I think that, let me also put a plug in for our tutorials. If you go up to Help on your menu and go down to Tutorials, we have almost 100 tutorials that guide you step by step through the process of doing whatever it is you're doing. So at the end of it, you've actually done what you were trying to do. It doesn't just tell you what to do, it takes you through that. And I think maybe in the searching category, there might be one for the Infer Search. Yeah, it's a pretty powerful feature. And I may be wrong, maybe we don't have a tutorial for that one yet, because it is a little bit complex, but I kind of thought we did. But if it's, go up to advanced at the top of that list, and it would be in the advanced category for sure. It might be easier to see if there's an infer option. No, so I guess we need to create one, and so we will, because we will add some of those new searches every time we update Accordance. But we do have, by the way, you go to Help and go to our webinars, and we have pre-recorded webinars on how to do things like an Infer Search. That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I was actually going to use a short little Infer Search to demonstrate what it means to search a backlinked text.
Awesome. Good.
Let's switch over to Greek for a little bit. Give y'all a break from the Hebrew. So let's suppose I search Ephesians 1 through 2, all right? And then I want to see if there's any other places where, that's similar in Paul's writings to Ephesians 1 and 2. So what I did here, sorry, I'm used to doing shortcuts. If I do a contextual click and I enter a search command, infer, all right, and then I will select the Bible that I want to use here, the NA28, that's this one right here, and we have it set to 6 words, a phrase. That's fun. And I'm just kind of doing this for demonstration purposes, but so I get several phrases here that are very similar to Ephesians 1 through 2. All right, and you notice that they're all basically in the introductions to Paul's letters. There's a little bit different here. God and Father Lord Jesus Christ at the end of Ephesians, but the rest of them are pretty much at the introductions. Well, here's something close in the middle of 2 Thessalonians. Okay. So what that amplify button right here, search backlink text, means after you do the infer command, you can search backwards to see where in Ephesians that first search came from. So what Accordance does, it goes backwards to your original search. This was my original search, and searches backwards to find the connection, just to show you where the connection originated from, if that makes sense. find the anchor, so to speak. That's what this second option, search backlink text, means. And again, in the help files, you can look up an Infer Search, or you can rewind this video and try it again. All right. But in going back to the Amplify, I got to speed up, looks like. We're getting behind. And the Amplify, on the Amplify button, all of your resources from your library are going to show up here, plus a few other options. All right. For example, let's say I search the NA 28 for apostolos. All right. And then I'm reading along and I find something I like Mark 6:30. There are some other options you have here, like context. So if I want to add some context to Mark 6:30, then I can amplify Mark 6:30, and now I can read Mark 6:30 in its context without messing up my search results. It's the same as sort of using your, you have your slider, your context slider here, so you can actually slide it up. This is what I normally do, is just use the context slider. But if you want it in a separate window, then you can amplify context. Actually, there's a good example here in Amos for the next thing I wanted to show you. In Amos 1:3, for example, it says, I will not revoke the punishment. It sounds kind of odd. So what I can do is highlight Amos 1:3, and here you have Command 6 as a shortcut, is the text browser, and I can compare Amos 1:3, some different English Bibles here, using the text browser. So I can see how they've translated Amos 1:3. So the CSB says, I will not relent from punishing Damascus. I will not revoke my decree of judgment. I will not revoke it. I will not let them go unpunished. I will not relent. So there's some confusion over what exactly is going on here. The reason is because this suffix right here is a pronoun, and there's debate over what it refers to, whether it's punishment or really what's going on with this pronominal suffix. But you can compare different versions by amplifying to the text browser and pulling up the text browser to compare different Bibles. Okay. All right, now working down this list, amplifying list, you've got all of your different resources in your library. You've got gospel harmonies that you can compare. If you're in the Gospels, you can amplify to one of those. You can amplify to a research category. It's like another shortcut. Instead of typing things in the research bar, you can just come down here and amplify to a certain category like dictionaries. And so this will search all my dictionaries for Gilead. So you're basically doing a research search, but you're just bypassing the task of typing things in. All right. Let's see. One other thing before I leave the toolbar, and that is language tools. So let's suppose you're working in English or Greek or Hebrew, and you want to take advantage of Accordance's language tools. Then you can amplify to using the parsing button. And so now Accordance will parse every word that you had selected and give you a nice list here. that you can copy and paste into a spreadsheet or however you want to use it. You can amplify to a diagramming tool. And so now you can drag and drop and make some old-fashioned diagrams or some text flow diagrams or however you like to diagram. You can use Accordance for that. Or if you want a word chart, Accordance can make you a nice word chart where you can assign your own syntactical functions, add your own comments, and then save that file. So Accordance has several different language tools that you can amplify to here on the toolbar. Okay, I know that was pretty quick, but I want to try to speed up a little bit. Any questions about that, language tools?
We don't have any so far.
Okay. Atlas and Timeline, I already mentioned, you can amplify to the Atlas and Timeline on the toolbar. Now, another way to amplify is by using the right click. And of course, you can perform I don't want to get off into searching, but we can do a lot of different types of searching especially in original language. We can search for the lexeme, the inflected form, the root form, the tag, the morphological tag. We can do all that from the contextual menu. I do want to add something here that's unique to the contextual menu. Well, not unique to it, but something we haven't talked about, and that is amplify to a construct search. So in this case, I've highlighted a verb, vashalakti, aish. I will send a fire. What if you're curious about, like, and this is Yahweh speaking here. Yahweh's the I. What if you want to know, okay, what else is he going to send, or what else? Are there different ways that he can express how he's going to send fire? Well, we can amplify to a construct, and this is a relatively new feature in Accordance. Instead of trying to figure out how to create a construct search for just these couple words, you can amplify, you can highlight it, right click, and then amplify to a construct. You can use a word, a phrase, a clause, or a sentence. In this case, I did a clause. And then, so your diagram, your construct search is already laid out for you, and you can manipulate it and change it up however you want. For example, maybe I don't want the lexeme shalach, but I do want it to be a katal, first common singular, consecutive. So I don't really need this or this. And I'm doing this kind of quickly. What if I already know it's first person, so I don't really need a subject, and maybe I want to keep this complement phrase here. So let's rerun this. Basically, I'm looking for a verb, first person verb, whose complement is fire. Let's see if we get anything interesting. Now, construct searches are much more complicated because they're looking within nested clauses, and so they can take a few seconds here to run. All right, so I got 16 hits. Now, what exactly did we find? All right, well, this says, I will kindle a fire in Jeremiah, kindle a fire, kindle a fire, kindle, kindle, kindle. In Ezekiel, I will set a fire. Ezekiel says set a fire. So here, so this is the same word that's used in Amos, shalach, and also in Hosea. And here's our couple hits in Amos. So interesting. At least to me, it's interesting. We can look and see. So we got 10 hits in Jeremiah, 6 in Ezekiel, 2 in Hosea, and 14 in Amos. All right. So that was an example of amplifying to a construct search. A very, very powerful tool. That's probably one you want to put in your toolkit. Does anybody have any questions about that? I know that was kind of complicated and kind of quick.
I don't think we had any questions specifically about that. There was a question about how did you get to the word and the parsing table view that you did a few minutes ago. A couple of people missed what you clicked on.
Yeah. Okay, so you just want to highlight your Hebrew text, and then you go to this little feather up here is language tools. You may not have it on your toolbar, so you may want to add that to your toolbar. And then
you might want to go over quickly how you can add that, because that was a couple questions that some people had.
So you can if you do a contextual click on your toolbar, you can customize your toolbar. And now actually, so here's the language icon for all the different language tools, but they're actually divided up. And so, at least they used to be. Let me see, is there a, I thought there was a separate parsing icon.
There is, it's just right to the right of the language icon.
Oh yeah, okay, there we go. So if you're just interested in parsing, well then you can create, you can add that icon up there. There's the parsing icon. And so you can highlight your text and click on the parsing icon, and so that's what creates the parsing sheet for you. Okay.
And let me just mention, when you're customizing your icons and you're a Windows user, you do it just the same way as far as right-clicking and selecting Customize Toolbar, but the customization window is going to look totally different. It's just the difference between Windows and Macs and how they do it, but the process is the same.
Mm-hmm. And this parsing sheet, since we're over here talking about it, you can, another shortcut aside from Command 4, another one you need to remember is Command T or Alt T. And what that does is it sets your display for whatever window or pane or tab that you're on. A lot of them can be adjusted with Command T. In this case, you can decide what exactly you want to show in the parsing list. Whether or not you want transliteration, whether or not you want the tag or the gloss, so you can adjust that. Or maybe you only want to show certain the words, like if you did a word search for verbs in Amos, then you only want to show in your parsing sheet the words that were part of the search, the hit or the results that were part of the search. Does that make sense? Okay, not that you can reply. Okay, so hopefully that answered the question about parsing. So this is the parsing icon, or there's a little group of 4 tools called language tools here, the little feather that you can add. Okay. All right. Now, let's we've been doing a lot from tagged and original language text, so I'm going to move down to okay, here's a good example. All right, we're going to amplify from our search results. So let's say we're looking, let's go to a Hebrew text. Now in this case, I want the Hebrew text to be my base text, and I'm going to search for, let's use that same word, shalach, send, that we did earlier. Okay, so all I did was a word search, and now I'm going to go to my search results, my my analysis tab up here at the top, analytics, sorry, the analytics tab. And then here you see analysis under word count totals. And that Command T shortcut we used earlier, the set analysis display.
And Control T on Windows.
Yep.
In fact, whenever Jordan says command, just if you're a Windows user, just hear Control.
Exactly. So for this verb, what I'm going to do here is drag over stem. Okay. And what we can do in this analysis tab is sort of filter these search results. And then you can actually triple click in the analysis tab. You may not have known this. So maybe I want to find all the PL forms of shellac. So I can triple click and Accordance will perform this search. So it looks for the lexeme and then the specific tag that I have provided. All right, let me do it again. Let's see. Oops. Let's do Command T. So let's add one more criteria. So stem and let's add aspect. So now I've got PL Catal. All right. If I triple click there, notice that it's the lexeme, and then Accordance also added PL and Catal because that's the way I have it organized in the analysis display, stem aspect. Okay. So you can do a triple click from the analysis display if you're wanting a specific type of search. All right, that's a handy little feature. Let's see. You can do the same thing with Greek, obviously, like if you're searching for a Greek verb, you can set the display to show the lexeme, but also the mood. And maybe you want to search for a participle of a particular verb. So you could do the same thing in Greek. All right. Now, real quickly, another way to amplify. Now, this is a relatively new feature called Live Click that we added when we were getting a lot of new BibleWorks users. So when BibleWorks closed its doors, we added some features that sort of welcomed the BibleWorks users in, that kind of mimicked a little bit of the user interface for BibleWorks, and so that's called Live Click. And Live Click, if I turn it on, then this little gearbox pops up, and with this gearbox, I have a couple options: lexicon lookup, verse lookup, word usage. We'll just look at a couple of these options real quick. So lexicon lookup means when I click on a word like Adam, man. Since I have Live Click turned on, Accordance is going to do a lexicon lookup, and it's going to basically do a research of all of my lexicons, for the Hebrew word Adam. And all that was just a single click. So a single click looks for lakach, or the word tree. So Live Click is a handy way to look up words or verses. So if I click on Genesis 3:22, here I have a verse lookup in all of my Bibles. So Accordance searched all of my Bibles for Genesis 3:22, and that's by using the Live Click. Okay. Whoops. And don't forget to turn it off if you're done using it. Put it away. All right. Also, we have the info pane. Over here on the right side of the screen, we have add parallel, and the first option is the info pane. The info pane is basically Amplify Central. So the info pane gives you ideas of things that you might want to amplify to. So you have your commentaries that you can, well, if you're at Genesis 3:22, then any commentary in your library that mentions Genesis 3:22 will show up here in your info pane, and you can easily click on any one of these to open up that commentary and read what it says about Genesis 3:22. And the same for grammars. If a grammar mentions Genesis 3:22, then that grammar will show up. You can notice as I scroll, you can see what happens. The number of commentaries goes down when I get to the next verse. All right. The info pane gives you a lot of options for cross references, particular tools, topics that occur in that verse reference, word lists, study Bibles, apparatus, manuscripts. These are all located in the info pane. So this is just a collection of items that you might want to amplify to. So these are just suggestions that Accordance is giving you based on the verse that you're currently located at. Okay. All right. We are running short here on time. One thing I did want to show you though is web searches using the web, particularly from a tool like a commentary. Okay. Now, everything that we've done, all of the amplifying that we've done from a text. But you can amplify from anything. So you can triple click even in a tool like a commentary. So eschatology, I can do a triple click and it will look up my preferred dictionary for the word eschatology. Now in our tools, we do a lot of hyperlinking for you. So verse references and links to other modules and things, we've already got those hyperlinks set for you, so you don't have to triple click. Just a single click will work, for example, for Micah 2:1. But what I want to really show you here is that a cool new feature in Accordance is the ability to amplify to a website. Okay, and this is how I use this feature. So let's suppose, for example, in a bibliography, here I'm in FOTL, which is on sale, by the way. I see a book that I'm interested in, and I'm curious as to whether or not my school library actually has this book available. So I do a contextual click, I go to website, and I've set up, I'll show you how to do this in a second, but I've set up my school website, or my school library website right here. And Accordance will go from the bibliography and look and see in my library, my school library, if we have that book available. So it looks like we've got 2 copies. One is located, it's on permanent reserve. This one's for library use only. That's not good. But I can request that item and do whatever I need to do for this book. Okay. Now here's Leslie Allen's commentary, which I have in Accordance, but still, just for example, I can do that search, look it up, and here it is in my school library. So if you have access to a physical library, then that might be something you want to add to your list of websites. Now, we've already preloaded some websites like Google, DuckDuckGo, Bing. I added Amazon, Yahoo, and Google Scholar. So a lot of these are already available for you. Then I've added some others myself, like some Brill stuff, ebooks, and school stuff. All right. So in your preferences, remember Command, comma, or if you're on Windows, you can go to Edit Preferences. There's an option here for external websites. Okay, and you can add a new website to your list by clicking New, giving it a name. All right, by going to your whatever your library's web page is, mylibrary.edu. All right, and then the best way I've found to do this is actually do a search on your library web page, and then copy and paste the link in here. All right, and you'll see yada yada. You'll see some other stuff. Whatever you searched for will show up here. But in accordance, what you'll want to do is use 3 asterisks here to indicate that what you're doing is a search. All right. And then hit OK. And then what you'll end up with is something like this. See how it has 3 searches? That indicates that you want to actually search the website for whatever you have highlighted. Now, this is something you got to kind of play around with, because in this case, for my school library, the 3 asterisks are in the middle of the web address. So you'll just kind of have to play with it and get it just right. But then you'll be able to amplify to a website like Google and look for that particular item.
Jordan, we have a question, and I don't know the answer to this, but you might. For custom web searches, is there any way to pre-authenticate with sources behind logins like Ebsco or Jstor?
No, I have that same problem. Like if I'm trying to amplify to like Brill's Hebrew dictionary, then I have to log in each time. So we don't have a way yet to remember those logins. Is that the question you're asking?
Yeah, that was the question.
Yeah. No, that's one downside. If you have to log in, is that you got to log in each time. But if you log in, you don't close out the web page in accordance, then you should stay logged in.
And remember, this feature is a brand new feature, kind of like a version 1. I'm sure it'll get enhanced with future updates.
Yeah. So that's the basics of amplifying to a website. So I know we've covered a lot of stuff here, a lot of ground, but we amplified to the library, we amplified to the toolbar, we use the right click to amplify, we use the amplify button, and so a lot of different ways to quickly grab information. Hopefully you found 1 or 2 things at least that might change the way you approach stuff. I think in preparing for this, one of my new favorite things probably is amplifying to a particular group. And in the library, there's a little filter here that you can show just my stuff. And so that'll quickly give you a list of like your groups, and then you can amplify to a particular group. I think that's something I'm going to try and work into my workflow. So, all right, that pretty much gets us down through the list of things that I wanted to at least cover, if even briefly. So we can start some Q&A if there are some questions out there.
Absolutely, we've got a few here. There's a question about how to access live click. I think if you just review how to get at live click again.
Yeah, so if you're in a text, then live click should be located on the right side. If you're on a Mac, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the same for Windows. It should be over here on the right side underneath the search bar. And
yeah, it is on both. Yep.
Okay. You can toggle it on with this little checkbox, and then you can set what you want live click to work for. You can even have a couple custom group of lexicons, or a custom group of Bibles, maybe just English Bibles. And you can, well, I don't have time to, well, real quickly. In my groups down here, you can do a right click, a contextual click, and add a folder. All right. Then go up to, let's say you have some commentaries you like, and you can add that to a user group just like this. So now that item is going to be down here in your testing group. So, whoops. So now whenever I see, like, this is one big thing. Whenever you tweak things in your library, it changes the way Accordance operates. Whether you have like if you're using add parallel and you've created subfolders, those subfolders are going to be reflected in add parallel. If you're looking at research, then you're going to have, see, there's my testing group. It showed up in research now. If you're going to amplify to that, then you're going to have, it's probably somewhere here on this long list, but so that texting group is going to show up in different places. All right, and then the question was about live click, so I might have a custom group here called testing. You see? All right, hopefully that answers that question. What's next, Mark?
All right. Oh, someone was asking about how to add Bibles to the toolbar. It's easy, and Jordan can show you if you're on a Mac. Right now, that feature isn't available on Windows yet. It's because on a Mac, the hooks for programmers are just already built in, and we have to create it from scratch in Windows, but it's something we're working on. But yeah, you may just want to show them how to do that if you have a Mac.
Yeah, it's just as simple as dragging and dropping. All right, but when you drop it onto the toolbar, it shows up on the far right. So you'll just want to hold down the command key and move it to wherever you want it to be.
Great. Okay, here's a question on search ranges. How do you limit a search to a particular book or group of books?
Yeah, so that's a search question, but I'm happy to answer that. So let's say I'm looking for Damascus, and I want to find out where it occurs in the book of Amos. There's several different ways to do that. Number one, probably the easiest way, maybe not the easiest, but one way to do it is go here to enter command and use the range command and type in Amos. So now we have a search range Amos. A lot of these search commands, though, if you look at the command, a lot of them are on the Mac shift command, and it's usually the first letter. So command shift R for range. So this is one I use a lot, is the range command, command shift R. Okay. What's next?
Yeah, let's see here. Sorry, I was in the middle of answering a question myself.
That's okay.
Got distracted. Okay, there's a question here. One of our users were wondering if you could just show your library and how you have it ordered. One of the questions on using the info pane was how you can order things like commentaries inside the info pane, and you do that by rearranging things in your library. But sometimes users are interested to see what are the kind of commentaries that you think are important ones, or the ones that you like, since you have access to a lot of them.
Yeah, so when it comes to my library, I've kind of nerded out a little bit, and I've divided them up into some subcategories. Like these here are specialized or partial sets, and the reason I have them up front is so that they will show up first in the info pane. See, like this commentary on Genesis by Bruce Waltke, I have it in a group called specialized or partial sets. okay? And it will show up if I'm in Genesis. But notice Walt key on Psalms does not, actually it does show up because Genesis must be mentioned in one of the Psalms. Okay, so bad example. Walt key on Micah. Notice it's not in this list because Genesis is not mentioned in his commentary, at least not the verse reference Genesis 1:1. So Accordance will bypass anything in here that's not mentioned. All right, and then it'll go to my next folder and keep looking for commentaries on Genesis 1:1. So the advantage of having like a specialized or partial set is that those sort of get priority in your info pane. So then I have technical commentaries and then expositional commentaries. So I have BHQ, Anchor, JPS. So the ones that are more geared towards original language study, I have those in priority over expositional, but it might be different for you if you're trying to prepare a sermon or a lesson to teach, then you may want some of these more expositional commentaries up front, ones that are more theological or practical or even just exegetical. All right, so I mean, you can kind of see here how I have them organized. Don't look at these because these are ones that haven't been released yet that I'm working on. So, all right, so don't look right there. All right, what's next?
That's great. Several questions about creating a group when you're performing research, how to create a custom group. Could you just quickly go through creating a group of maybe of commentaries or something?
Yeah, so that's what I did here with this under my groups. What I did was if you click on, now it's a little bit, if I recall, doing the first one might be a little bit trickier.
I've got a little tip for that.
Yeah.
The way I usually get started is just go to your library and select several straight from the library. And then just right click on any one of the selected items after you've selected a few. Yeah. And then go to add to user group, new group, and then just give it a name.
Okay. Good.
A lot easier than trying to do it another way.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's good. That's a good tip. So we'll call this Mark's tip. Yeah, there you go. That's really easy. I've always gone down here and made the folder and then added stuff to the folder, but that's good. And then if you want to add more stuff, obviously you would come up here and then just right click that one, and then you can add it to Mark's tip, and then it will show up down here, right there. And then remember, whatever you do in your library, that will be reflected. That will be reflected in accordance elsewhere. So, for example, like here's Mark's tip group for research. Now it's ready to go. Okay. We got maybe time for one more good question. They're all good. One more. Your best question, Mark. Give me your best one.
Well, we actually there are a few that were good questions, but they're not really related to amplifying. So and some of them might get kind of involved. So I'm kind of hesitant to ask those. But listen, people. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Because I didn't know the answer. I've never had this one asked about the recycle. Is it possible in preferences to just have that set to where the recycle is automatically off?
Mark, do you know the answer to that question?
You know what? I don't know the answer to that question either, but what I would do is just open the preferences and type in recycle as a search.
That.
Yeah, and if it doesn't show up, which means I don't think you can do it. It doesn't look like that's an option. So I think it's on by default all the time, and I don't think you can turn it off, but yeah.
Yeah, so once you triple click, you can go in there and turn it off. I mean, if it's turned off, that means you're going to keep adding tabs and adding tabs and adding tabs every time that you triple click. So that the reason it's default on is so that you don't constantly add more and more and more tabs to your screen.
A couple of people are asking if you can amplify to the atlas, and I think you did that, but maybe reviewing it one more time would be good.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah. So we're here. We went to Carmel and Amos 1:1, and then all I have to do is just click on the atlas here on the toolbar, and it will find that location on the atlas.
Great. Do you have an email that you would be willing to share if people have any questions? I know some people were asking about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It is jstevens, JSTEVENS, jstevens at accordancebible.com.
Great. And let me just, Bert, one of our users mentioned that Command K or Control K turns recycle off and on if you want to use a keyboard shortcut really quickly.
Yes, yeah, sure does. Okay.
Well, thank you, Jordan. Lots of good thank yous and comments. A lot of people that are feeling a little overwhelmed, which is understandable.